Friday Huddle comes to you a touch early today. We're at the Colonist Hotel just across the ground from Norwood, where we are leading up to Brisbane taking on North Melbourne. Nice crowd in attendance, a good-looking crowd as well, and they're having a couple of frosty ones. As I introduce the captain of the team, who wasn't here last week, but it's got a lot of history at this pub, Luke Darcy. Darcy, this is a former pub of your family's.
Well, I've spent a fair bit of my childhood here, Howie, as it turns out. It's been 30 years since I walked in this driveway, and I know it well. There's some stories that you can tell. There's some that you can't. It was a different era back then, Howie, but am I allowed to say one of my finest moments that I enjoyed as a child? This was Don Bradman's pub, the Colonist, and he would drive down this driveway where we're here, and Dad would say, the Don is here. He'd buy a cask of Fruity Lexia white wine, which was the cheapest wine in the bottle-o, and I think I got his autograph a dozen times, Howie, on the brochure, and he was the most charming, gentle human being.
And what did he drink?
Fruity Lexia cask wine, Howie, every month. Once a month, he'd have his cask wine, Chief, and he would roll down this driveway. So the great Sir Donald Bradman was a local here.
And I look across at the Chief, and he's nicely attired. He's got the white thong on. He's got the tight denim shirt. He's got a denim shorts, a black tee. But what I'm loving, Damo, is the 1980 Oakleys underneath the New York hat. He looks $1 million. Hello to you, Chiefy. Adelaide has embraced you, and you've embraced Adelaide.
Hello, Mark. And look, we're second year into it, aren't we? And you have to say, Gather Round works. The atmosphere over here is absolutely electric. It's incredible. Wherever you go, there are people proudly wearing their footy colours. It's a celebration for a week. We're all having fun. And just following on from what you said, Duke, I bet you, whilst he bought the cask of wine, I bet he never bought anyone else a drink. Because rumour has it the Don was tight as a fish's date.
Chief.
True or false?
Is that true? I haven't
Tight
heard that.
as a fish's date.
Is that right? He was in his 80s and played down at Grange Golf Course, I think, and would regularly shoot below his age, which, as you know, not many people can ever do in golf. So we all know the history of the great Sir Donald George Bradman.
And one of the most popular men in Adelaide is here. He's got news. He's ready to go. He's got behind the scenes on the Fight Caper. Damien Barrett is here. Hello to you, Damo.
Got behind the scenes on the Fight Caper, Howie, and also some behind the scenes stuff on your activities during the course of this week too, which our audience today needs to be brought in on.
It's been a busy week. Kane Cornes will be joining us shortly, but this man, for the first time, he's going to walk out for the first time. He's 1-0. He's undefeated. I like to call him the champ. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. Nathan Noodles Brown in a dominant win over Kane Cornes. Courageous of you both, Nate. You haven't stopped smiling since. We're so proud of you. Your wife's proud of you. Your kids are proud of you. The people of South Australia, from the reception I heard, are proud of you. Well done, champ. How you feeling?
Tell you what, I'm more popular than Peter Metalaskas at the moment. I've been kissing babies. I've been fight photos. Everybody's very happy that I beat Kane Cornes. So we went in for the plan was not to go too hard too early. So
Hang on, you planned this?
My trainers...
Yes. Oh, your plan?
The plan for the fight. You okay? Plan for the fight was not to go too hard too early, because you can punch yourself out, you can get tired legs. But he went for a jab, the very first one, and he dropped his hand just that little bit, and I thought, geez, there's an opening here. And then I bopped him 4 or 5 times, and I must admit his face went all red. I felt good about it, and then I knew we had it done. We were ready to go.
Chief and I were there in attendance. We'll tell you about the crowd later, but courageous by you both. I've got tremendous admiration for what you both did, and the way you spoke about Kane and the way he spoke at the end was fantastic. Kane obviously dominates on SEN and the Channel 9 Footy Show, so he's coming courtesy of those networks at the moment. He's joining us on the Friday Huddle. One of the gutsiest things I've seen for a long time. Kane Cornes, the vanquished but didn't lose any fans, joins us. Kane, Mark Howard here. Welcome to Triple M and the Friday Huddle. How'd you pull up, champ?
Yeah, not too bad, Howie. Bruised ego and some sore ribs, a bit of a headache, black eye, black forehead, and feeling pretty worse for wear. But he kicked 7 on me in a pre-season game at Norwood back in the early 2000s, and I haven't stopped hearing about that. Now he's got that on me, and he's got a win on fight night. So I'm actually snookered. Whenever I insult Browny, he's just going to come back with, not only did I kick 7 on you, I absolutely belted you in the ring. So I'm in all sorts, fellas.
Hey, Kane, look, congratulations on getting into the ring, mate. It's not something that everyone would want to do or would have the courage to do. At what stage of the fight did you think I could be in trouble?
Chief, I probably thought we shared an Uber ride. We've been spending a lot of time together, which is just ironic, really, in the lead up to the fight. We've been doing sports bet stuff and Channel 9 stuff, and on Tuesday we called an Uber together, and he was really cagey. I was sort of not that confident in my ability. So I was trying to gauge a little bit, like, Browny, sort of how hard we're going to go here. And he just wouldn't give me much at all. So I thought, I think he's taking this pretty seriously. And then from the moment he used my head as a speedball about 10 seconds into the fight, I knew I was in all sorts of trouble. And I was just, honestly, the inner voice, I was dying. I'm just saying, you can't go down. Like, you don't want to go down and get absolutely knocked out. I had my 3 kids sitting in the stands. I had my wife there. It would have been an awful look. So somehow stayed on my feet. I was expecting the coach to throw the white towel in. He didn't do that, so I was on my own. And somehow, I don't know how, I think he took it easy on me a little bit, stayed on my feet.
Hey, Volcano, your mind power is incredible. It's almost unparalleled. You've run from Adelaide to Melbourne. You ran more than a marathon a day at a 3-minute kilometre pace, thereabouts. This, though, you've been saying in the lead-up to and subsequent to the fight itself was the hardest thing you've done. Yeah,
Damo, it was. Like, I've always had so much respect for boxers just because of the discipline that it is. I mean, you need everything. You need strength, power, you need a level of courage to be able to take a punch, to give a punch. The stamina that they've showed. I mean, the main event was 3 10-minute rounds. We were doing 4-2s and we were both cooked. So you can imagine the stamina that he's needed to do that. So the discipline of it, and it was overwhelming. Like, you sort of describe it as trying to get a university degree in a couple of months. So you've got no hope. You feel like you can go in and you've sort of learnt the basics, but when you're in there against someone who can sort of look after themselves a bit, as you could see from Browny, he knew what he was doing. You just get outclassed and outworked.
Kane, I've been wanting to ask you this question, and I'm not being critical, so please take this the right way. You're a 300-game player, and you've got a special place in the footy community, as you should have for your deeds on the football field. And I feel like the footy community's a golden ticket of people who genuinely have each other's back. But you take a position that is almost unique, where you've been probably more mean-spirited and nasty to people than anyone in the history of our industry. Do you feel like, and that trade obviously gets you paid well, do you feel like that trade is worth it when you sit back after a weekend like that? Is it something that you're comfortable with?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it, Darc. I don't say anything that I don't believe in. I'm not sure what you're referring to in terms of nasty and mean-spirited. If you want to give me some examples, I'm happy to hear them and debate.
I think it's a bit harsh, Darc. I reckon you're a bit harsh there.
No, I'm just asking a question that I think, because there's always a role for a shot.
What in particular do you think was nasty and mean-spirited?
Look, I could send you a number of edits, but I think you do take a position.
Go now. If you're
I
going to
think
say
your commentary on Trent Cotchin I thought was particularly nasty. Your commentary on some AFL coaches is nasty at times.
You didn't find that humorous. A lot of other people did. Now, I don't think that was nasty and mean-spirited. I thought that was.
But I think there's a view in the community that you've taken an edge that very few people have done before. And I'm not being critical. That's a role you take, and people like Piers Morgan do that in the UK and make a lot of money for it. And there's always a role for a Steve Price in the industry. I'm just wondering whether that trade of being that role, and that's the role that you play, whether you feel when it gets to the wash of being in a footy community, having people generally uneasy about that, is that something you feel is worth it?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do it if I didn't. Look, you would say nasty. I would say outspoken. I would say divisive, possibly. I would say that I've got strong opinions, but at any time, like, you can ring me up and debate them with me if you think it's out of line, or an AFL coach can do that, or a talkback caller can do that on the radio. I'm more than happy to have that out and front up to the opinions. I don't make things up. I don't say things for the sake of it. Have I got it right all the time? Absolutely not. Have I gone 20% too hard at times? Absolutely I have, but I don't think we always get it right. I've asked you to name me what you think is nasty and mean-spirited. You've come up with Trent Cotchin, which was a comedy skit. So I disagree with that, and we can go back and forth, and you can send me some edits if you like. But of 8 years in the media, you've come up with one example of being nasty and mean-spirited.
Well, yeah, it wasn't up for the debate. It was more around just that role. I think you have assumed a role in our industry, and I see you I saw you in the gym today, and you look like someone who doesn't want to bump into people, and I find that a little bit sad, and I wonder whether that trade is what I was getting to. I wasn't being critical.
I didn't see if I had seen you, and I think most people. I'm quite introverted actually, like it's a little bit different. But if I had seen you, I would have stopped and shaken your hand and said hello. I would do the same with Trent Cotchin. I'd do the same with Mark Robinson. I'd walk into the Triple M commentary box like I did with JB and Billy last week.
He's come on our station today, Darc.
Yeah.
And he's come on our station today.
And it's great. And I've got no history with Kane apart from being positive. I'm asking a question, I think.
Doesn't sound like you're being positive, Duke. I know Kane didn't win the fight the other night, but I think he's won this one. And I'm on Kane's side.
Kane
I
says
reckon he's spot on.
a lot of things that a lot of people don't like, but a lot of people would sit there and I think they agree with.
And I understand
I don't think he's
that,
been mean-spirited. I think he's just outspoken like he says.
It is a price to pay for being outspoken. I was asking the question whether he feels comfortable with that when you walk into an environment in the footy community and you've upset people, and clearly Kane is. He's not doing it.
We love him on our show on the Sunday Footy Show because he says that. And I wouldn't say that, and I don't think Damo does, but that's his role, and he plays it, and he's happy to play it.
Credit to him, and I'm asking him that question, and he's given a fairly reasonable answer. So no, I've got no problems with that either. That I'm not sure that Kane would be upset with me asking that question.
No, I'm happy to answer any. Honestly, I'm happy to answer any question. Richo's been really critical of me, but every time I rate Richo. If I'll probably see him at the footy tonight, I'll probably see you boys at the footy tonight. I'll stop and shake your hand. I'm not an extroverted person, as Damo and Nathan know me well would probably attest to. But I'm not upset with the question. I just totally disagree that it's nasty and mean-spirited. But
yeah, and that's a nuance that we can disagree with. And
100%. And look, you've got the connection to the Bulldogs. I've been as hard on Luke Beveridge as anyone, so I can certainly understand. You would be a little bit sensitive to that. So, look, I appreciate...
Well, no, you're putting words in my mouth now, and that's I'm not a spokesman for...
Is that true, though?
I'm not a spokesman for... Luke's big enough to handle himself, Kane, but it's a role that you play. It's a Piers Morgan-type role where you're going to play the agitator, and I just wondered how comfortable we are with it. And on the end of the day, it sounds like you're pretty comfortable with it, and good on you. You're going to get paid well to do it. It's a transaction, and someone can assume that role, and you've taken the mantra. You're going to have it. It's yours for sure.
Well, it's better than just people saying nice kick, nice handball, nice mark, and nice chest mark. And how boring is that? Like I consume a lot of the American content that you wouldn't last 3 years in the media in America if you're going nice kick down the line, great mark. Like that to me, that's boring. So I try and be a media performer that I would like to listen to.
Let's just turn our attention back to the fight for a moment, Kane. And I'm very.
Next one starts
I was more comfortable talking about that than the fight.
No, you played him on a break, mate. Hey, I know you and Nate are mates. Was there a little bit of chat during the fight? Was there any sledging, any niggles when you got in clinches? Was there anything said?
Look, there was one moment, and I don't even think Nate would say it. It was late in the fight, and I probably copped. I don't know, Browny, how many good ones you got me with? Maybe 8. Probably 2 of them sizably rocked me in terms of, like you see, the white flash in front of your eyes, and he had this look in his eye like he wanted to finish it. I could tell, like he had this real aggressive, and he had his 3 guys in his corner, and they were great guys because I spoke to them after the fight, but at the time they didn't seem like great guys because they're yelling at him to finish. They weren't saying finish it, but they were like, hit him with a 3. And Nathan's coming hard, and I said, mate. I said something. I don't even know exactly what I said, but I said, are we serious here? Or just something like that. And then he just looked at me and he nodded and he just took it off, I would say, 10%. I'm not sure if that's Nate's recollection of it, but that's certainly mine, which I appreciated because I didn't know if it was in his or mine interest. He made a pretty big statement. He's shown that he's an incredible athlete, and I'm not sure he needed to sort of send me to hospital. So if that's the way he interpreted it, I was appreciative of that.
And we're appreciative of you coming on, Kane. It took an interesting turn.
Absolutely.
But, mate, we appreciate you coming on. Fans.
We apologise for the joke.
Yeah, we apologise for Duke.
I think
Is Kane offended, is he, by me asking him?
He returned serve pretty well, though.
And like you guys don't need to defend me either. Like I'm a big boy. I give it out. I'm fully aware that I give it out. I've got to be prepared to cop it. And Darc, mate, there's no issue with the question. I just thought I had a right to defend my position as well.
No problems.
My word, you do. You might be on Triple M next if you keep firing shots like that, Kane. We appreciate your time, mate. Well done on the fight. And, I think it was outstanding that what you and Nathan did and the courage you both showed to get up there. So we appreciate your time, mate. Thanks for coming on Triple M.
Good on you guys and congratulations, Browny.
On Kane.
Kane Cornes.
And well done to Nate if he just took it a little easy and you looked after you, mate. Well done, Nate.
Thank you, Chief.
Because you would have been smelling blood in the water. You wouldn't like a shark.
There's a bit of blood in the water, Duke's got a bit of blood in the water.
Hold the music.
I've been on the end.
We might have to debrief this, I reckon, in the ad break.
Just hold the music.
Where did that come from?
I saw him in the gym today, and I felt like he was someone that didn't want people to say hello to him, and I thought, that to me looks like a sad way to be. Now, he may just have had an issue with me and didn't want to speak to... He said he didn't see me, which is fine.
He's got an issue with you now.
Probably has now.
Open up his time to come on too.
Do you think the way you framed the question using the word mean-spirited and nasty maybe wasn't
And
the best
sad.
way to word
And
into
sad.
the question?
Well, I think given the language that he used, I think that's fair. Look, I just couldn't personally do it. I couldn't trade my place in this footy community, very, very tiny place that I've got, because I love the football community, by saying that type of thing about people within our community. And I think it's a way to operate. I'm curious as to whether or not when he reflects, he clearly is.
Does it go back to the Koch thing? Are you being protective and loyal to a workmate?
There's always not at all. None at all. There's a role to play for a Steve Price to say these things in media, or for Piers Morgan or anyone. And Kane has assumed that role more than any ex-player, true Chief, than anyone in the history of the game. Has there been anyone that's been as vocal or critical as him in the past?
They probably have, but not with the same research and ability to back up what he's saying and actually believe what he's saying.
No one has done it at that level, and so credit to him. He's fielded a voice, incredibly strong voice, and I've always been curious to ask. I've never had the chance to. I would have today if I'd have seen him in the gym, but didn't get the chance to say
He
hello.
went down unanimous the other night, but I feel like he might have won today.
Yeah, that's what I said,
I
Browny.
feel
He
like
said
my
in 8
colleagues...
years,
He's now
8
1 and
years,
1.
You've
Well,
given him one example.
do you want me to come back with a few or not?
Yep, we do.
Okay.
We do.
I think
All
we
right,
need to take
no
a
problem.
break.
So
and
he's
just
not
regroup.
mean-spirited or nasty.
This is the Triple M Friday Huddle for TAC.
Cool.
Don't take risks while driving. Chances are you'll be caught a message from the TAC.
Oh.
Darc
Is he
cooled
okay?
down yet?
Oh, Howie, you're in charge of this ship.
Nothing but cool, Chief. Nothing at all. Thanks for the
Well, I
support.
saw Howie in damage controls. Are you okay?
Howie's on the
I-
phone.
Perfectly okay to ask a reasonable question, I would have thought, Jason.
No, you thought it was reasonable?
Unreasonable? It's taking our show
Borderline.
off in a direction that I didn't
Borderline.
plan. Definitely taking our show off in a direction. We're here at the Common Sevens. Gather around. It's a
was
beautiful
harshish.
weekend.
Well, I think you got nothing
all
on what you
positive.
did with Dan Andrews, to be honest.
I was curious.
we
That was
move
a
on.
curious question. It wasn't aimed at setting an agenda, Howie. So it was
There's a
just
big Channel 7, Channel 9.
Yeah.
Well, it's
you
not that.
going at the moment.
Let me knock that over the head. It certainly wasn't that. I bumped into him in the gym.
Knock it over the head or knock it on the head?
Knock it on the head too. Could knock it over the head as well. But I bumped into the gym. Felt like someone who has to. Let me just move on.
You won't let it go. Have we
Let's
got a
move
minute?
on.
Have we
You
got a
didn't
minute?
see you with
Yes, we got a minute. The Judd man is not too far
Oh, I
away.
like
We
it,
need
I
to
like
carve
it.
out some time for him.
Because
Because Chief and I wandered through the
Yeah.
beautiful hotel here before just to get a soda water, and we discovered some information, Chief.
We did. Well, yesterday was the AFL Partner Conference, which is probably the preeminent AFL function of the week. So this is a function that involves all the AFL heavyweights, all the key executives are there. Then you get the CEOs and chairs of Fortune 500 companies and multi-conglomerates. They're all there. The big wigs of everyone that makes this game run. Now, for year upon year, it's a function that Hamish McLaughlin, a good mate of ours, has run. He's no longer with us in Australia. He's
still
living
alive,
over in-
Chief.
He's living in France.
One of the great MCs.
Switzerland.
He is one of the great
Yeah.
MCs.
The best
Switzerland,
MC.
sorry.
Switzerland.
So they needed a new host. Now, by all reports, when the number got to the correct figure, our man Howie was called in to host it.
International bank account.
But some interesting information has come to light, Damo, that you are able to shed some light on.
Be
Well-
truthful here, Damo, because I've never been so intimidated as I have been in my life in that room
the
yesterday.
people who told us this story, Howie, as we're having a soda water before, were reminding us that you've got 2 pairs of shoes, thongs or desert boots, and they saw you yesterday in the black shiny leather shoes, so they knew there was something serious going on. They also said that they had heard a lot of what you said in the first 5 minutes word for word before from Hamish McLaughlin. So
Whoa.
the allegation / accusation of plagiarism arose as a result of your performance yesterday,
Well,
Howie.
I've never seen Hamish do it, but if Hamish did what I did in the first 5 minutes, he's very good, Damo.
Did he send you his script from
No,
years gone by?
I can tell you, I agreed to do it without realising how impressive the room was. I have about 8 bosses. They were all their chief. I was intimidated. I was just happy to get through it, and thanks for the opportunity from the AFL, but never again. I was terrified.
So what's the accusation here? I feel
Well, they
like
said
you've
it
gone
sounded,
short.
it
Well, that's
sounded
rubbish.
exactly like what they'd heard the year before.
So you think that TLA have given
Cut and paste.
Hamish's notes from the year
Correct.
before
And-
to Howie?
There was a housekeeping part of it, Brownie, where it was all scripted, like I'm wearing my Kennedy watch, it's 2:10, and I was on time for the Virgin flight, which left on time, and then the...
And that's what Hamish did, and then Howard
and
did
then
the same
someone
thing.
said, I've heard it word for word.
Well, I didn't know Haim had done that, but
Oh.
it wasn't scripted because I did it live without notes, Darc, and once that was done, I was happy to relax. But
Same
it was
person said you
frightening.
did do an outstanding job,
Oh,
Howie,
no, now you bring that to
we
the
just had to
table.
bring the negative part to it. You know that.
You did a good job of that. I've just seen Juddy wander in. We won't introduce
Trench
him.
coat.
Oh,
yet.
look at him.
Are we allowed to introduce the Judd man? Ladies and gentlemen, two-time Brownlow medalist has wandered in, premiership player from the West Coast Eagles, with a soda water in hand. Chris Judd,
trench
hello
coat.
to you, Juddy. It looks like a West End. Hello, Juddy.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Good
Judd
to
man.
be here. Duke, I just had to pop in. I was a little bit worried about you. People are saying he's
You know what?
upset. There's
Thanks.
nastiness and meanness creeping into the community, and Duke's here to save the day.
Thank you.
And
And I knew you'd be a voice of reason, Judd man. It's great to have you back on the M's and great to have your balanced thoughts. Apparently you're not allowed to ask a question these days, Juddy. It's not allowed. So I
you
take
know
that
I'm
with-
always on your side, Duke, no matter what.
trench coat's
yeah,
interesting.
it's
I know.
nice.
It's not for everyone. Not everyone can pull it off, Duke. I wouldn't try it if I were you, but it's modern corporate, and I had a lot of positive responses so far.
Howie, I bumped
Yeah.
into Chris yesterday
Yes.
in I think it was Lee Street, I think it was, and Juddy
Fugazi.
saw us and came over, and I was talking to Juddy for about 20 minutes, just having, again, a soda water. And he thought he was at the function that I was at until 20 minutes into the conversation, he realised he was at the wrong function and was meant to be elsewhere. I love the way you roll, Juddy.
I was at a charity function for EB, and I brought up EB several times to the people I was with, and they didn't seem to know a whole heap about it. And after 30 minutes, I realised I was at the wrong one. So that's why I don't do a lot of charity work, people. It doesn't suit my personality.
Darc, you've been attending a couple of functions and not attending some functions as well. I heard you had a slip up as well this morning.
Might have missed one this morning, Howie. Been an interesting 24 hours for me.
Is that when you saw Kane Cornes? Or just after you
No,
saw
I
Kane
was in the
Cornes?
gym.
It's
when
not
I was
as
there.
interesting as the next 24 hours is going to be, I assure you that right
that
now.
right? Really?
Or jump on Herald Sun. I think it'll be there pretty sharpish, but anyway.
Surely not. Sure, there's more important things to talk about.
No, I wouldn't
No,
have thought
there's
so. We're going to take a break here. We're going to take a break, Juddy. We're getting at a foot analysis. Just stand up. Does it go all the way down? It's a full lost.
No, it's a
He looks
short
like
one.
he's in
No,
the
it's a
Lost
short one.
Boys.
It's a short one, not a
It's
full one.
outstanding, Juddy. As you say, not many people could pull it off, but you can. Do we like Juddy's coat? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, we get the thumbs up. Juddy, what's happening in your world? Let us know. Is the financial world, is the big hedge fund going well? You look up and about. You look like you're making money.
No, the fun's going well, Howard. Thank you for asking. But mate, I've been pretty boring. Working. Kids, we had a broken collarbone in the house last Monday with our one of our twins. So that was our eldest brought a bit of the S and an edge into the backyard football, and it didn't agree too much with the 7-year-old. So that was an event, particularly after I spent 5 minutes spraying him for being Captain Softy. Oh. So that was a bit of a low moment, but we've regrouped, and he'll be stronger for it, Howard. There's no doubt about that.
We have seen a bit of Juddy's parenting style late at night in the Judd Cave from time to time.
Oh, yes,
Are
we
you
did.
missing us, Juddy? Because
I
it was
do miss
it was
you.
a
I'm
happy
always
time.
listening. I listen every week, but it was a simpler time back then. There was maybe a little bit more leeway. The big nose producer hadn't learned how to use the dump button yet, and there was a certain freedom you came on air with. You know,
I saw the full rich list, Elon. He's still number 3. He's worth about 496 billion at the moment. You said that he was going to go broke. How's
not
that
everyone
going?
shoots 10 out of 10, mate. And you know, sometimes early, never wrong, and that's what I'd say about my calls. Clearly, I went a bit early. He's had a bit of a run, but it's not over yet.
You had a guest on your brilliant podcast, by the way,
Thank you, Jake.
Juddy. If you talk your book, if you haven't seen Juddy's podcast,
How's it going, Juddy?
check it out.
Pretty good, Howard.
Is it?
You had a guest saying that
You're conceited, Howie. Too arrogant.
buy Tesla was the word out of your podcast against the
They weren't
grain.
my words, Duke. I just report on what other people believe, and he liked Tesla, and that's good for him. It's not for me. Competing with the Chinese manufacturers, Duke, and I'm happy to sell stuff to China or buy stuff to China, but you don't want to compete with China, Duke, because they're incentivised by non-economic causes. Okay?
Right, as well. Let's get on to something we all do understand. Let's get on to the Blues.
Yes.
Very excited in my house, as you would know, Juddy. Erica is very big on the Blues. Is this the year for the Navy Blues?
Bit early to call. I think GWS is the team to beat. They look clearly the best side.
Gee, you become
at the minute.
headliner-verse, haven't you?
I think the Blues are going better than last year, put it that way. So last year we crept into the top 4. I think we can really be a cemented top 4 finisher, and if you're there, you're in the hunt. I think Elijah Hollands looks like a really good addition. Got Jack Martin to come back in, Sam Walsh. So still got some upside, but I think we've got to get a bit better to be able to chase down GWS.
It's corporately flying too, isn't it, Juddy? There's a big function on in gather round for a lot of the high flyers.
The week's brilliant, isn't
Yeah.
it? I was just saying to Jason what a great week it is. It's sort of a bit It's like schoolies for washed-up retired footballers, to be honest. And anytime you walk in the hotel, I ran into Stiffy Johncock last night, had a beer with him. The McVeigh brothers were there. Paulie Connors, Robbie DeRazio.
It's a happy, great community, the AFL community, Juddy.
Well, it can be, Duke, if you come to it with the right approach.
Well,
you know?
that was a point I was trying to make. Maybe a little poorly, a little early.
We are leading up to Brisbane taking on North Melbourne. Chiefy, are we going to see something from the Kangaroos? I've had the pleasure of seeing them the last couple of weeks. McKercher off half-back. You got Sheasel and Wardlaw. They look like they're coming. Could they do something today and put Brisbane zip 4?
Well, I don't know about actually getting the win, but they're showing glimpses. They're being competitive in periods. They've just got to stretch those periods out over a longer term. We pray for a good game. That's all we want as commentators. You don't want one-sided affairs. So we hope North put their best foot forward. Mind you, having said that, Brisbane need to find something. They've been absolute crap the first 3 weeks. So they've got some big steps to take. And if they were to drop this, I am more than prepared to put a line straight through the middle of the Brisbane franchise and say, you are done for the year.
I love doing Brisbane games with the Chief because he gets to watch two of his favourites in Eric Hipwood and Joe Danaher. Nobody incenses you more than what Joe Danaher does when he doesn't have the ball.
When they play like the Fry Pan Brothers, I have issues.
Explain that to the layperson,
What does that
Chief.
mean? You get your hands to that many and you just slap the ball and you don't mark it. I mean, they're getting plenty of inside 50s and opportunities. And we talk about this star-studded forward line, and they're not capitalising. Now, they're not playing well all over the field. They're not defending well either. But they are still getting opportunities to hit the scoreboard, and they're not taking them. So they've got a lot of ground to make up, a lot of ground. And if they don't get themselves going shortly, we won't be talking about them much this year.
Chiefy, I was watching the footy last night. I don't know if you all saw the Fox coverage, but the last segment, the Chief came on air with a blanket fully over his head. He looked like he was rolling in Jeddah rather than Adelaide. What happened there last night, big boy?
Well, some of us were doing the hard yards, Howie, and it just happened to be freezing last night at the Adelaide Oval. There was a strong wind blowing and it dropped. It actually felt like midwinter in Melbourne.
You don't do well with weather, do you? Remember that time you were captaining the Hawks and you were 9 goals up in Brisbane and you took them all over to the shade and then Robert Wall said, have a look at what they're doing over there.
Brisbane made the finals.
You got pumped by Brisbane after being 9
I'm glad you
goals
brought
up.
that up. Now, Juddy, you've been a captain for many years. How often did you decide where the huddle would be as captain?
Not a lot, Chief. I don't have your sort of stature in the
You
in
walk
the club.
over to wherever they've set up.
Took him into the shade.
It became me taking him into the shade. Oh, ridiculous.
News, Damo. What's happening in the world of AFL while we're here?
A lot of interest in what happens with Jack Ginnivan on Sunday night. It's the last game of the 9 on gather round, and obviously with what he's done by transferring from Collingwood, Howie, he's played 3 matches. Again, in the 3rd match for his second club, he's forced the AFL to come out publicly, Darc, and actually address a rule that is almost specific to him. I'm really keen to see what Collingwood does with him. First up, I can't imagine Braden Maynard being too kind to him, and that will
It's not really
be
in their nature, though, Purple, is it? This new Collingwood team? It's not really in their nature to go out of their way.
Braden Maynard will, I reckon. And I'm keen to see what they do first up when he's got the ball, because we'll then get a new, I suppose, blueprint for what is right and what isn't wrong when it comes to Ginnivan with the ball, with his tackling. Because, Juddy, as you know, in 2022, he got 20-plus free kicks for the year, kicked
32.
41 for the year. Only got the 4 last year, has got the 1 from 3 matches this year. It's a rule that, whether the AFL wants to admit it or not, has been revolved around his and his actions.
Oh, got the winter chills. Go for hot water that's steady, hot and strong. It's Australia's favourite water heater. You know who we're talking about. It's built tough for Aussie conditions and manufacturing right here in Australia for over 80 years when it comes to water heating. Ask your plumber to install a ream. We are here at the Colonist, Luke Darcy's parents' old pub, Mark Howard. Luke is here. Nathan Brown, Damien Barrett, Jason Dunstall, and the Judd man is here. And we welcome a couple of blokes now. One by the name of Noel Duncan, who's done health and fitness and training with all sorts of football clubs at Collingwood, Richmond. And he's alongside Jackson Warne, who's doing an amazing, amazing job with the Shane Warne legacy. Firstly, nice to see both of you blokes. G'day, Noel. G'day, Jacko.
Thank you, Howie. Thanks for having us.
Well, we'll start with you, mate. This just went everywhere at the Boxing Day test. There was the heart machines, 4 minutes, non-invasive. Chemist Warehouse was involved. How's it going? Because you've donated and dedicated a lot of your time and effort to this, mate, and you're to be congratulated.
Yeah, it's been... well, firstly, thank you for having me. It's been a great success, and Boxing Day was just phenomenal. You know, we couldn't have planned to have better numbers and better feedback. Everything was so positive, but we honestly couldn't have done it without Noel and without Sisu. Like, they're the ones with the machines, they're the ones with the staff, talking everybody how to do it, making them feel comfortable. So it's been a massive team effort, but the feedback we've gotten has been awesome.
Jacko, we all loved your dad and felt privileged to have known him in some small part, and to have this legacy, Noel, continue on. I think a lot of people we tragically lost Jackson's legendary father, Shane, a lot of men started thinking about their health a lot more seriously. Did you know that was going to be the case? And obviously you've got the equipment and the machinery to be able to test people simply. Tell us about how it's worked out.
Yeah, thanks, Darc. Look, it's been a huge surprise to us, actually, how it has resonated, particularly with men, but sort of between the ages of 35 and 65, where sometimes you can get lost in the medical system. You know, a lot of us don't have our own GP. A lot of us don't like talking about, health, but with the legacy and with what, Shane's name, a lot of people have just come up and done a check, and they've said, look, that they haven't gone to their GP. So we've been able to then triage them into the system and hopefully sort of, just increase awareness and engagement, and just, the simple fact that everyone's talking about heart health. We've been blown away by the impact of Shane's name and what the legacy doing, and of course what Jacko and Brooke and Summer are doing. It's truly incredible.
So where are the machines and what do guys do?
So we've got 36 machines in total. We've got 4 just around the corner at Norwood Oval.
Yep.
We've got 4 at Mount Barker, and then we've got around 15 at Elder Park and around 15 at Adelaide Oval at the east entrance. And we've had lines from 10 a.m. this morning. They've been opening up. We first went live yesterday. We had some at the Channel 9 Spectacular, and we had about 10 machines, which got over 400 checks. And I think we're actually at just over 2,000 total for this week.
Fantastic.
And what's the aim?
Aim's 9,000, which I think we'll get. It's ambitious, but Dad always said, be ambitious, dream big. So
Absolutely.
It's a big goal, but by the numbers we've got already so far, and everyone's been so supportive of it. And one thing they've said more than anything, they're just grateful that it's free. Like, more than anything, they're grateful that it's free, and they appreciate that we're here, and we're just lucky to be here.
Do you know much about Noel previous to this? Because I know he looks like an accountant, but when you talk about competitors and aggressive people, he doesn't look like that, but he was our fitness coach at Richmond for a period, and when you used to do a run around the tan, so you had to go and beat your time that you had before Christmas. Noel was a fitness coach, and he used to tag blokes around the tan and was very, very keen to put guys in the bushes, into trees, and then he'd come back and go with the next guy. So he would be pushing and shoving, and then they'd go ahead, he'd come and get the next bloke, and then he'd get the next bloke, and he was a nasty human being sometimes.
How was Nath? How was Nath to get up and about?
Oh, look, he was great. He was an incredible athlete. I was really privileged to have the opportunity to work with some amazing athletes, but Browny in particular. I love the fact that he turned up to training every single time trying to be better. I mean, his power was incredible. He was an incredible power athlete. So there's a lot of power athletes now in AFL, and I think he'd be incredible in today's footy, the way that it's changed. But no, I loved working with the athletes. It was a real pleasure, and it was a bit of fun. What I used to try to do was sort of turn them against me in a way. To try to build a bit of spirit, and it worked.
You got in the ring against Spud once too, I believe. You got in the ring against Spud?
I did, yes.
Came off second best?
I did, yes. Danny broke my cheekbone, and to this day it still sits a little bit lower. And I accidentally tagged him, which was a really, really bad mistake. And his competitive instinct just came back and got me. And I like looking in the mirror. It does remind me of the big fella, actually.
Hey, Jackson, it's called Shane Warne Legacy, and there's so many other legacies detached even from the Sisu Health arrangement, aren't there? How are you going with the empowerment of taking that message through into the future?
It's been awesome, and I, like probably everybody, when he passed, his legacy would probably to do something with cricket and with records and statues or anything like that. But since launching the legacy, it's actually, because I'll always talk about Dad no matter what. Like, I love him. He's the greatest dad ever. To me, he's still here. Like, I'll always talk about him, but since launching the legacy, it's given me a purpose, and that purpose now is saving lives. Like, I've met so many people that, because of the news, even before the legacy, just they had to actually call it the halo effect of how many men and women were going in because of the news and actually went and got their hearts checked, whether it be, they felt something or they just heard the news and wanted to be okay. And I think Dad would be so happy. I think he'd be super honoured and just grateful that his legacy is also saving lives.
You'd be super proud as you, mate, because you couldn't spend more than 5 minutes with your dad before he'd bring up you, Brooke and Summer, and how proud about all the things he was doing. So he'd be incredibly proud of what you're doing as a family. You came to the fight with me and the Chief the other night, and the Chief gave me 2 bits of advice when he walked into us. He said, don't look anyone in the eye, and if a woman looks past, don't look at her at all. Just look to the ground. And I took that advice on. But there was some memorabilia, Chief. We wandered in, and it was a professional fight, but jammed between rounds and fights, Juddy.
Careful, Howie.
One piece in particular,
Well, the first piece that popped up as Chief and I walked in was a signed Lionel Messi jersey. Now, I'm sure it was legit, Juddy, but it seems rather remote that someone in Adelaide could get Lionel's signature. So we were discussing that, and then blow me down, Jacko. We didn't quite know how to take it because the final piece for the night was a signed Shane Warne cricket ball, to which you were questioning the veracity of, and fairly enough, I think, mate.
I was, and when they were touring this around, I saw a red cricket ball, and anytime I always see a cricket ball for an auction item, it's always one of Dad's. And then they were sort of, and going once, we've got a signed ball of Shane Warne with a photo of proof of him signing, and I'm thinking back, no, just there would have been times where he was signing cricket balls. I remember them being plenty, but the chances of Adelaide, I didn't understand it. But it was very bizarre. But I'm glad someone's going
There's
home.
a happy owner of that anyway,
Yeah,
Dad.
Just listen to this, Damo.
I'm glad the owner is going home with a photo of Dad signing a cricket ball, and that they have that cricket ball now. So no, I hope it
But
goes
the
somewhere
actual-
in the man cave or the house.
The memorabilia, and you were telling us about it, whether you can share or not some of the memorabilia you have, but you're telling Chief and I about it. Have you thought about what you could do with that? Because there's some genuine museum pieces that you have that are, well, it's not getting carried away. They are massive parts of the history of not only Australian cricket, but world cricket, mate.
They are, and we were talking about it at the boxing, and I think I'd love to, I know it's a big dream, but I'd love to somehow have a Shane Warne museum in the Shane Warne stand. So if anyone's ever going to the MCG and they're sort of in that area, they could actually see some of his memorabilia, because it is scattered everywhere. They've got some in the museum, obviously he's got the statue in the stand, but it'd be cool for people, because I remember when I was younger, going into certain rooms and seeing, footy players' shoes or jerseys. I think it'd be really cool for people to see some really cool cricket balls of Dad's in the Shane Warne stand. Because he, like him, he collected everything, whether it was golf clubs, cricket balls, he kept everything. So no, we're getting creative with what we're doing, and we can hope we can give it the chance for the public to see it.
We're getting a bit tight for time, Noel and Jacko. Before we let you go, Shane Warne legacy. If people aren't here, they're not at the footy this weekend, how do they get themselves tested through what you guys are running through Sisu Health? How do they do it? What's the easiest way?
The best way would to just look up the Shane Warne Legacy website, type in your postcode, and it'll come up with the closest one near you.
Star. Well done to both
Brilliant.
these gentlemen.
Well done, guys.
Well done, Noel.
Great
Well done,
to
Jacko.
speak to you both.